Salve, salve. It's a me, your friend Benson. Today I'm doing a little deck I've had in mind for a little while now. I've been getting a lot of Sopranos clips in my YouTube feed. All it is for a slice of gabagool. And one of them was Artie Bucco. And I just thought, Artie Bucco, Magic the Gathering, what can I do here? So I started looking for chef magic cards. And I found Rocco, Street Chef. So I thought I'd build something around it, thematically built around and based on culinary, food, Artie Bucco. Tony Soprano's childhood friend turned chef, restaurateur, restaurant owner, one of Tony Soprano's favorite haunts. If you're mobbed up, there's no better place to do business than a beautiful, great restaurant. So I thought I'd build a Magic the Gathering deck around it, a commander deck. I'm just going to lead right into it. Hope you liked my very, very, very basic and minimal Italian. That's good. All right. So, Rocco, 3 mana. I went with this iteration of Rocco, the 3 mana from March of the Machine Aftermath, excuse me. Beginning of your end step, each player exiles cards, top of the library. To your next turn, each player may play the card they exiled this way. Whenever a player plays a land from exile or casts a spell from exile, you may put a 1/1 counter target creature you control and create a food. Really, you want to... This is going to basically exile stuff from your opponent's libraries. If they can't play it, they're screwed. It's exiled. It's gone forever. So whenever a player casts... If they do manage to cast something, you benefit from it. I'm doing the two-finger Italian thing. They talk with their hands. Talk like this. I hope I'm not offending anyone Italian. I have a few Italian fans out there, so you guys know who you are. Shout out Tin Street Bazaar over on Twitter. He's a loyal follower and listener. Anywho, so let's just get right into the meat and potatoes, the gabagool of the deck. The gabagool, what's another Italian food besides a cliche salted meat? You got, trying not to be generic. I'm trying to lean on my restaurant knowledge. I worked in kitchens for over 10 years. I should know a thing or two. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. So really, you want to you're building around Rocco. He's 3 mana. You can get him out pretty quick. You want to, it's not so much you're going to do stuff with him. My plan here is to overrun your opponents with the benefit your creatures from Rocco's ability. So you're going to put 1/1 counters on your dudes, and you're going to create food tokens. I've made a lot of dudes and cards here that really work around adding more food and kind of fit the theme as well. We'll go through them. First and foremost, Academy Rector. Wow, wrong card. Academy Manufacturer. Clue, food, or treasure. You create one of each. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, you create one of each. So you're gonna benefit, get more tokens with Rocco around. So pretty cool. So you're gonna double up your tokens. You're gonna see later on what we're gonna do with some of those food tokens. Other creatures I threw in. Astrid Peth, every restaurant needs the help. Someone to clean, bust the tables. That's kind of what I see her as. But she enters the battlefield or attacks, you get a food token, so you can cheat her out into play with Rocco's ability if she gets exiled. And her ability, Brand New Sky. Whenever you sack a clue or food, she explores. So you can thin out your deck. She gets bigger. You can smack your opponents with the broom. Next card on the list, really, Banquet Guests. It has an affinity for food, so it's cheaper for each food. So that's a restaurant. There's food everywhere. A good chef makes good food. Artie's a great cook. We all know that. Enters the battlefield at twice X1 counter zones. So this dude's going to get really big really quick. You can sack a food and give it indestructible and null turn. So you're going to have no problem. You're not going to run out of food with this guy. He can be a big beat stick at the end of the day. He gets bigger with Rocco. Rocco feeds him. And you can sack foods, give him indestructible. Another dude here. Again, another help for the restaurant. Beginning of your end step, if you don't control a food, create a food. And if you have a Academy Manufacturer, you're going to get a food, a clue, and a treasure. Eleanor Gardner, a lot of legends in this deck. ATB, create a food. Beginning of your end step, if you sack the food, search your library for basic land. So you're gonna be sacrificing a lot of foods. You want to thin out your deck with a lot of creatures that let you do the ability. Astrid Peth explores, Rocco exiles. what is it? Eleanor is letting you get a land into play tapped. I do want to have some recursion. I have some stuff in this deck that I'm worried might suffer from removal. So Eternal Witness, get stuff back. Gala Greeters, that would be fun. Every restaurant needs a good hostess, the maitre d', if you will. Then the creature enters. You're going to benefit from Rocco's ability. 1/1 counter on him. Create a tap treasure token. With the treasure token, you'll also, with manufacturer, you'll get a food token. And you can also gain life. Gild the Goose, and who doesn't love a good roasted bird with a hint of rosemary or whatever it is? You put on a nice roasted bird. Whenever it enters, create a food. Tap it, create more food, sack a food, add 1 mana of any color. I did not mean to alliterate like that. And this guy, Graham O'Brien, wherever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, create a food token. So with Rocco, you're going to be casting stuff from exile. He's going to pop off. You got Jaheira, Friend of the Forest. Tokens you control have tap, add 1 green. So everything you create with Candy Manufacturer, all of Rocco's foods, they're also mana rocks. A key piece of this deck, shout out to Kaladesh Express Discord. So I can't remember the name out there, but someone on his Discord helped me out. His Discord's been a wonderful source of information. We got us Mary, Word of Isengard. Whenever one of our artifacts enter under your control, you get a 1/1 white soldier. Pretty crazy. So as you get your foods, as Rocco pops off, he's bringing some dudes with him. You're going to get some bodies with lifelink. Only triggers once each turn, but you'll be able to keep him around long enough to benefit. Motivated Pony. I thought this was a great. This can be your beat stick. Because again, Rocco's not going to be so much your main source of attack. Although you can make Rocco bigger, but you want to keep him around. So I'm thinking definitely use the creatures in the deck. Restaurants, the chef is the backbone, but he can't do anything. He can't succeed as a restaurant without the servers, the other cooks in the kitchen, even the dishwashers. This guy, think of him as your dishwasher or your bouncer, or a dishwasher who moonlights as a bouncer. It attacking creatures you control, so he brings all the other dudes with him. The food entered, untap those creatures, they get even bigger. So you're guaranteed to hit a food token. Now, I'm really excited about this one, Norin, Swift Survivalist. This is not released yet. It's in the Duskmourn. He's a human coward. He can't block, but his ability is key, and he's 1 mana, so you can't go wrong. So you're going to be able to cast him with Rocco. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may exile it. You may play that card from exile this turn. He teams up with Rocco nicely, so you may choose to exile stuff with him, sort of protecting your dudes. He gets your dudes off the battlefield if they become blocked so that you don't lose them. And since you're playing things from exile, you can put a 1/1 counter on a creature and create a food. So, creates a cool little loop there. And, Peregrine took 1 or more tokens created under control. Those tokens plus additional food are created. So you get additional food, sack of foods, draw a card. So all the foods you're going to be creating between Rocco, Academy Manufacturer, Astrid, and Eleanor. A lot of legends here. I should have put Captain Sisay in this deck. You're going to have plenty of foods to sack and draw a card. You can do this at any point. I do have the OG print of Rocco in here, caterer, because it fits the theme. He's Tony Soprano's guy. He's his caterer. He gives him his food. He gives him his gabagool. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you may search your library for a creature card. So you can tutor out something. You have a ton of mana. Thanks to Jaheira, your stuff taps for even more mana. And you could fetch out some big dudes. We got Rosie. ETB, food, again, pops off with other guys, giving you additional stuff. Whenever you create a token, doesn't say food, 1/1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. So she's making your dudes bigger. Rocco's feeding your dudes, making them bigger. Your dudes are getting big. I got both iterations of Sam in here. Beginning of combat return, again, creates foods. Activate abilities of foods you control. Costs 2 life to activate. So your foods are now all 1 mana to activate. So you've got Samwise Gamgee. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a food. So you have plenty of, I wouldn't say there's plenty of creatures. I feel like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Yes, 22 creatures in this deck or so. So you're going to be kind of limited on creatures, but you can always get stuff back with Eternal Witness as well as other stuff in the deck you'll see later. Sack 3 foods, return a historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. This deck is underpinned by a ton of legends. You need a way to get your legends back. Now, I do have Timeless Witness from that. ETB, return a card from your graveyard to your hand, and it eternalizes. So Eternalize not so much a thing, but really I need a way to get recursion back. Tireless Provisioner, whenever a land enters, get a food token, which is fun. We always need more foods. This one's going to be fun, so we got some cookies for dessert. You get a side of biscuit with your espresso. Tough cookie, enters battlefield, create a food. He's also a food, so you get 2 foods for the price of 1. He's going to animate your foods. Target non-creature artifact you control as a 4/4 artifact creature till end of turn. So he can animate your food, and you could just beat your opponent up with your food. And with Jaheira, you can tap your excess foods that you're not animating to turn into a deadly weapon. And it just occurred to me, you can take Motivated Pony and untap those creatures. They get an additional 2/2. So you can untap, create, get dudes, they get bigger, creates a nice little loop. So that's the creatures. Some sorceries. I like stuff like Austere Command with multiple instances. You want to be able to target artifacts and enchantments. All creatures mana value 3 or less. Since these dudes are pretty small, you can benefit from one of the ticks on Austere Command. Creatures with mana value 4 or greater. You do have what? 1. I should know this. 2. It's really only 2 of the creatures. 3. 3 of the creatures in this deck are going to be affected by this, but still not a bad drawback. It destroys them. You can always bring them back. Timeless Witness or Eternal Witness. So one other thing about this deck is, again, Rocco. I look for stuff that exiled you can play from exile. So this has Suspend. You can, not only is this played, you're gonna play this from exile since it's suspended. So you'll get to tick off Rocco. And this lets you exile 3 cards from your library. You may play those cards until end of turn. Time counters in each of those. So Rocco's ability, again, thanks to this card. And it's got pretty beautiful art. The Doctor Who set I didn't get into because Doctor Who, I'm clearly not British. I'm not a fan of Doctor Who, but this is nice art. It's got the, I guess, what, Picasso? I don't know my fine art. Anyway, Incendiary Command. Again, I love modular spells. And it was first printed in Lorwyn. I love being my original Lorwyn. It's got a lot of options here. Damage to a creature, damage to a player, non-basic land, which is awesome in Commander. Goodbye, Command Tower. Each player discards their hands. You can piss a lot of people off. This one's perfect. Late to dinner, When Tony Soprano sits down with his crew, you don't want to be late. You don't want to be late to the boss. You know what I mean? Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is big. So you're getting something back, and you get a food. Again, it goes with the Cat Manufacturer. You're going to get an additional food. So reanimate a dude. It's Breath of Life, but food. So pretty powerful. Don't be late to dinner. The boss is there. Light up the stage. Again, you're playing stuff from exile with this, so I think that's pretty good. Plunder. I'm kind of on the fence about this. I feel like this could go. You could play it from Suspend, which will trigger Rocco. Destroy an artifact or land, which can definitely be fun and piss somebody off. You're guaranteed to hit something in Commander. Primal Command. Again, another modular spell. Gotta love these. You can gain life. Down to non-creature permanent top of the owner's library, so bounce something away. A Planeswalker. You can even target a land or anything non-creature. Goodbye. Top of your library. See ya. It's gone. And then you could even end up getting exiled with Rocco, so you could really screw your opponent up pretty bad. Shuffle library into the graveyard if you need your stuff back. Search library for a creature card. It's got a tutor built in, so for 5 mana, you can do a lot of things here. Reckless Impulse, again, a great card from Crimson Vow. Exile, trigger Rocco. Really pretty simple. Return a permanent card from your graveyard, from your hand. I feel like you're kind of vulnerable in this deck, kind of maybe Glass Cannon-ish, because you do rely on a lot of creatures. If one of those is dead or exiled, you're screwed, unfortunately. But permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Permanent. That's the key. And you got a food. Can't go wrong. It's only 2 mana. Search for Tomorrow. Mana ramp. Again, could trigger Rocco. Battle the Bywater. Destroy a creature with power 3 or greater. Then create a food for each of them. So that could be awesome. You could wipe the board and start animating your non-creature artifacts with Tough Cookie. So you could wipe the board, then you're the only one left for the body. Titania's Command, again, more modular. Exile yards, gain life, search for lands, filter out your deck. Create a couple bears. You can be like RFK and eat a bear. Artie will help you cook up a bear. Put 2 1 counters each creature you control. Venture Forth. This is a fun card. I didn't even know this existed. Exile from your library. If you exile land, put that card in the bag of the rest of the bottom of the rated border. Exile it with 3 time counters on it. So you're going to tick this off with Rocco every time. It's going to keep coming back. What must be done? Again, modular. Destroy artifacts and creatures. That's just mean. You really shouldn't target your own, but return target historic permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is key in this deck. you rely on your historic spells. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Came from the Assassin's Creed set. Again, a little more, a couple more modulars. Look at the commands from the Dragon's Dark Cure block. Opponents can't gain life, 3 damage, land, ramp. Stuff gets bigger, gains reach, prevent all damage. Player sacks an enchantment, 1/1 counter creature. Target creature you control fights, so you're gonna have some pretty pumped up big dudes from everything with your Artie Bucco going off. And you can have it fight. It acts as a removal. Chef's Kiss. This is perfect for Artie. Gain control of target spell that targets only a single permanent player. Copy it. Select the target at random, which would create an interesting environment. A 4-player commander game. 4 or more. It can't be permanents you control. Oh, can't be you or a permanent you control. So you're going to screw a lot of people. So to get stuff back, this is a great card. If you're not using this in a green deck, I highly recommend it. If your commander has green, you need to use this card. For 0 mana, you get a card back from your graveyard on top of your library, Noxious Revival. So for artifacts, I really looked at stuff that had Suspend, and some of your generic rocks like Soul Ring. I'm not going to look at that one, all that it does. So I'm looking at Lotus Bloom, Mox Tantalite, and Mox Talisman. These all have Suspend. I don't need to explain what these do. Lotus Bloom is a little bit of a glass cannon, but you could reanimate some of your historic stuff with cards I talked about earlier. Mox Tantalite, Mox Talisman, you're going to keep those forever. Soul Ring, we all know what that does. That's a lot of talking. These are unscripted. I just fly off the cuff. Enchantments. Gourmand's Talent. This is perfect. Fits Rocco. During your turn, artifacts you control. So it makes your foods do even more. Whenever you gain life, first time you get a green raccoon. So you're going to gain life and you're going to get a dude. Whenever you gain life for the first time, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Let's get closer on that one. So your stuff gets bigger. This is going to go off. The Gourmand. I'm doing the hand thing again. You can't see it. Killer Service. Enters the battlefield. Create a number of food tokens. Artie's known for superb service. It's a high-end restaurant. You know what I mean? ETB. Create a number of foods equal to the number of opponents you have. So you can do pretty well with this in Commander. Beginning of your end step, you may pay 2 and sack a token. Again, that's any token. If you do, create a fat rhino body. That's great. This is perfect. Master Chef. So I didn't play when this set came out. So if this is not able to be in the deck as its own standalone thing, somebody please let me know. But creatures you control, commander creatures this creature has the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it, and other creatures you control into the battlefield with an additional counter on it. So that's pretty bonkers. It's a chef. You can't go wrong. Again, enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it, and other creatures you control enter. Wow, that's crazy. So stuff gets bigger. This one here, this is really kind of the key, what you want to look for. Now, I added a lot of recursion earlier for this reason. So it enters foods you control have tap, add green. So you sack this. Creatures you control get XX until end of turn, where X is the number of foods you control. So you can animate your foods and then swing in with all your foods. The only downside is you have to sack this. So you want a good way to get this back. Now, it's not historic, but you can get it back with Noxious Revival and your 2 Eternal Witness variants. Couple more things. Trail of Crumbs, food. You sack a food. Pretty straightforward. Put it in your hand, filter out your deck. This one, you get a body, you get a food. 1/1 counter creature control. X is 1 plus the number of foods. So you can get a really fat, big dude out there. Pump up one of those rhinos from Killer Service. See you later. Good night. Most important though, so this one is a complete flavor win. If anybody's seen The Sopranos, Artie's last scene in the series was he took out his father's cookbook. His father was a chef as well, and he cooked up, and all he had left in his restaurant, he had late customers who showed up, and all he had left was a rabbit he actually shot in his own garden. So he dusted off his father's cookbook and made a nice rabbit recipe for a couple of guests. That was his last scene of The Sopranos. It was kind of symbolic because Artie was trying to be something he wasn't, and he was manipulated by Tony, the Soprano, crime syndicate, the whole series. And this represented him returning to his roots with his father's cookbook. So I thought this was a perfect ad. It works around food. It's about cooking. I think it's perfect. 1/1 counter, target creature, create a food. So more food. You draw, you create a food. And you get a half-link for each food you control. So you can get a lot of 1/1 dudes, 1/1 bodies on the table pretty quickly from your old father's recipe. For lands, you're pretty standard fare here. You got your filter lands, Riveteer's Outlook, Terramorphic Expanse, Windswept Heath, uh, Wooded Foothills. Again, fill throughout the deck, get your lands. Cabaret Courtyard. You want to gain life, get your lands. This one I thought was interesting. Your Abstergo Entertainment, 1 to store card for your graveyard to your hand, then exile all graveyards, which is pretty just shitty and mean in my opinion. Command Tower, can't go wrong there. We all know what that does. Lands, pretty straightforward. And other than that, that's it, and that's that. Is this deck something you will try or something you're interested in? Did you watch The Sopranos? Are you a Sopranos fan? Again, all of this over a slice of gabagool. But I'm going to put the link to this deck in the description if you want to check it out. If you want to build it, please let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions or additions or changes, are you a Sopranos fan? Let me know in the chat. Let me know your favorite Sopranos scene. I am thinking of kicking around more Sopranos ideas. If you think of any cards that you feel like closely relate to Sopranos characters, do let me know. I have some ideas for some Sopranos characters, a Magic deck themed around those characters from the show. So do let me know what you think. As always, thanks for tuning in. I am over 1,000 subscribers now. I am eternally grateful for every single one of you. Be sure to smash that like button. What the hell's a button? Hit the like button. And let's continue to succeed here. I can't do this without you. Let's work together. Let's have some fun. Let's make some Magic decks. Let's enjoy the good times. Anyway, I believe Italian. Goodbye. Arrivederci. Anyway, everyone, have a good time. Let me know if you try this. Thanks, everyone. Catch you next time.